What if your greatest act of courage cost you your life? Would you still do it if it meant saving someone else? That's exactly what Eddie Aikau did. And that's why the world still says, Eddie would go. It's a phrase shouted at surf competitions, printed on bumper stickers, and spoken with pride in Hawaii and around the world. But do you know the story behind those three powerful words? This is the incredible true story of Eddie Aikau, a lifeguard, a big wave surfer, a champion, and a hero who disappeared trying to save others. Eddie wasn't just a legend for riding the biggest waves on Earth. He was a real-life guardian of the North Shore, risking his life every day for strangers. But in 1978, during a dangerous ocean voyage meant to honor his ancestors, Eddie made a choice that turned him from a hero into a symbol of courage for all time. So, who was Eddie Aikau? And why does his story still echo across the world today? Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why millions still say, Eddie would go. Coming up next, we take you back to where it all began, before Eddie was a legend, before the world knew his name.
The story of one of these men, Eddie Aikau.
As a surfer and as a hero, inspired a saying ubiquitous in Hawaii, Eddie would go. 3 words that gave his life purpose and took his life away.
He was going to try and save everybody.
Let's rewind to 1946, Kahului, Maui, Hawaii. Eddie Aikau was born into a family deeply connected to the ocean. But life wasn't easy. His family didn't have much money. Like many Hawaiian kids back then, Eddie learned early that if he wanted something, he had to earn it. As a teenager, Eddie's family moved to Oahu. To help out, Eddie dropped out of school and started working long hours at the Dole Pineapple Cannery. His goal? Saving every penny to buy his first real surfboard. And when he finally did, something clicked. Eddie wasn't just good at surfing, he was fearless. By the late 1960s, Eddie had become a standout at Waimea Bay, one of the most dangerous big-wave surf spots on the planet. But he wasn't just surfing for himself. In 1968, Eddie made history by becoming the first official lifeguard on Oahu's North Shore. This wasn't some easy summer job. These were waves as tall as buildings, with currents that could pull even the strongest swimmers out to sea. But Eddie never backed down. He's credited with saving over 500 lives, often paddling out alone into deadly surf when no one else would even try. People started saying, if Eddie's on duty, you're safe. He didn't save celebrities. He saved tourists, families, strangers, people like you. And Eddie wasn't just a lifeguard. He was a champion. In 1977, he won the prestigious Duke Kahanamoku Invitational, proving he was not only a protector, but one of the best big-wave surfers in the world. And here's where his story takes a dramatic turn, when Eddie signs up for a risky voyage across thousands of miles of open ocean. Quick pause. If you want more stories like this one, hit subscribe now and join us for the next adventure. What happened next left the crew in stunned silence, and the world in shock. By 1978, Eddie Aikau had already done more than most people do in a lifetime. But when he heard about the Hōkūleʻa, a traditional Hawaiian voyaging canoe, he saw a new way to serve his people and his culture. The mission? Sail from Hawaii to Tahiti using only the stars, the wind, and ancient Polynesian navigation methods. No modern instruments, no engines, just pure skill and tradition, reviving the lost art of wayfinding that had once connected all the islands of the Pacific. Eddie knew the risks. This wasn't a vacation cruise. This was 2,500 miles of open ocean where storms could rise without warning. But Eddie volunteered without hesitation. For him, It was about honoring his ancestors and proving that the Hawaiian spirit was still alive. On March 16, 1978, the Hōkūleʻa set sail. But just a day later, disaster struck. About 12 miles off the coast of Molokai, the canoe ran into powerful seas and capsized in the dark of night. The crew clung to the overturned canoe as massive waves and heavy winds battered them. With no radio and no way to signal for help, time was running out.
6 to 8 foot swells, and they're breaking over us, and they're so that constant noise of the ocean, that.
The concern was that there were people that obviously were physically going down, and that was scary. That was scary.
Eddie made a choice that no one else dared to make. He grabbed his surfboard, the same kind he had used to save hundreds of strangers, and told the crew he was going for help. Eddie paddled toward the island of Lanai, battling strong currents and towering waves. It was a journey of over 12 miles across treacherous ocean. The crew watched as Eddie disappeared over the horizon, and that was the last time anyone ever saw him. Imagine being there, watching the man you trusted most disappear toward the horizon, and knowing that might be the last time you ever see him. His selfless act triggered the largest air-sea search in Hawaiian history, involving the U.S. Coast Guard, military aircraft, and hundreds of volunteers. But after days of searching, they found no trace of Eddie Aikau. Though the remaining crew was eventually rescued, Eddie was gone. But his sacrifice, paddling into the unknown to save his friends, turned him into more than just a local hero. Eddie became a symbol of courage that the world would never forget. Up next, you'll hear how Eddie's spirit lives on, not just in Hawaii, but around the globe. And you'll learn what it really means when people say, Eddie would go.
We'll refer to it as Eddie would go, which means he would catch the biggest wave.
Spiritually, there was no choice. He had to go. Eddie had to go. Save the dignity of his people. It's simple, but it's not an easy choice that many make in their lives. He's a rare, special human being, and he's a real Hawaiian hero.
After Eddie's disappearance, Hawaii mourned, but it didn't take long for something extraordinary to happen. Word started spreading about Eddie's final act. People couldn't stop talking about how he didn't think twice before paddling out alone into dangerous waters. His friends started saying a simple phrase to describe that kind of fearless spirit: Eddie would go. At first, it was just something locals said at surf contests. You'd hear it when the waves looked too big or too dangerous. Someone would point to the ocean and say, Eddie would go. And just like that, surfers started paddling out, because that's what Eddie would have done. But it didn't stop there. The phrase exploded across Hawaii. Soon, it started showing up on bumper stickers, t-shirts, and banners. It crossed oceans, spreading to surfers around the world. It became more than just words. It became a way of life. Every year, the Eddie Aikau Big Wave Invitational is held at Waimea Bay. But here's the thing. It only happens when the waves reach at least 20 feet high, Hawaiian scale. That's over 30 to 40 feet face height, bigger than most people can even imagine surfing. And in 2023, the Eddie Invitational made history again. For the first time ever, the event included female surfers, proving that Eddie's spirit of courage and inclusion is still alive today. We're not done yet.
For the first time ever, women, as Jeremy mentioned, were included in the lineup to catch the monster waves out at Waimea Bay. TV4's Erin Coogan caught up with some of these manawahine at the 2023 Eddie Aikau Invitational.
Breaking ground in the 2023 Eddie Aikau Invitational. 6 women from around the country getting the call to surf in Hawaii's most prestigious big wave competition.
Here we are. You know, we fought hard to get women in big wave surfing, to get women competing, and I feel like today is a big day in history that we got it.
So it's gonna be a crazy experience, and I'm just so stoked to be surrounded by such big legends.
Coming up in our bonus segment, we'll show you how Eddie Would Go turned into a global movement that inspires everyone, not just surfers. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that keep the spirit of heroes like Eddie Aikau alive. You might think Eddie Would Go is just for surfers, but the truth is, it's become so much bigger than that. You'll see it on stickers, on laptops, patches on backpacks, shirts worn by athletes, and even quotes in corporate boardrooms. Why? Because Eddie's message is universal. It's not just about charging into 30-foot waves. It's about showing up when things get hard. It's about stepping up when no one else will. Teachers use it to encourage students to push through challenges. Firefighters and first responders wear it as a badge of honor. Everyday people use it as motivation to face life's toughest moments, whether it's standing up for what's right, chasing a dream, or helping someone in need. It's a reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward in spite of it. It's about facing fear head-on when everything inside you screams to turn back. And every time someone says those 3 simple words, Eddie Would Go, they're keeping his legacy alive. But there's one more lesson Eddie left for all of us, and it's the most important one of all. Stick with us. So here's the real question. Would you go? Eddie didn't have to paddle out that day. He could have stayed with the crew, waited for help, and no one would have blamed him. But Eddie made a different choice. He chose to act. He chose to risk it all for others. Eddie Aikau showed us that real heroes don't wait for perfect conditions. They step up when the odds are against them. They go not for glory, not for fame, but for others. His story isn't just Hawaii's story. It's our story. A reminder that each of us has a moment in life when we have to decide, do we sit back or do we go? So the next time you face something that feels impossible, ask yourself one question. Would Eddie go? Listen, don't just click away. Eddie's story needs to live on. And you can help make that happen. So hit like, subscribe, and share this with one person who needs to hear it. Do it now. Because legends never stop moving forward. Because Eddie would go. Would you?